And I'm stopping this one now. Recording stopped. Close. Bring it down. Swipe it over. Record. 3, 2, 1. And it is 10:10 p.m. on Monday, February 15th. My name is Stephen Brooker. I'm still on Group 5, which is YouTube's. Group number 5 is my YouTube's. It's Group 5 of 6 groups. Group 5 solidifies Group number 4, and Group 5 expounds on Group number 4. Again, I'm still on Group number 5. Group number 6 is next. So, this video is video number 6 of 11 of this series. So, just the same, I'm using this phone to record me recording the recordings. I'm using this phone to document me documenting the documents. So, just the same, I'm using this phone in my hand to make a copy of me making copies of the originals. In this phone I'm pointing at, the copies of the originals is for the plaintiff and attorney Nikki Reed. And in this phone that I'm holding in my hand itself is for the courts and the honorable judge. For this phone is me making copies of the originals. So just like I'm supposed to give copies to the plaintiff and the opposing counsel, this is the original. I'm making a copy of the original for the plaintiff and her counsel. And just to make sure that it's established, just to make sure that it's relevant, and just to make sure it's in the proper chain of custody, I'm using this phone to make copies of me making copies of the original, as these will all be Exhibit B's for the court system and the honorable judge, and these will be all Exhibit A's, which would be copies of the originals. That I can post these A's public and these B's public, and leave all of my originals private. So, if I post a video public and somehow YouTube deletes it or whatever, I don't lose my originals, I would just lose the copy. So to always preserve and protect the originals is the reason why I'm making copies of the originals with this phone, and I'm copying myself do it with this phone. So, here we go. Continuing on. Plaintiff continued to give Honor baby bottles until the age of 3. Honor was not potty trained until the age of 3. Did you ever potty train Honor? Did you potty train him before you abandoned him? At 2.5 years old? October 31st, 2017? No. Did you potty train him for the 55 weeks you were gone? For the 55 days you were gone, he cried for you? No. Did you potty train him in the 25 days you were back? No. Did you potty train him in the 32 weeks you were gone the next time? No. Did you potty train him in the 39 days you were here then? When you left the third time? No. Did you potty train him in the past 756 days? No. Who potty trained Honor? This guy. This dad right here. Who potty trained Freedom? This guy. Who bottle broke Honor? This guy right here. Who put in the work and dedicated to these children? This guy right here. I've never done anything that I've put more interest, more self, more value, more time, more energy, and more effort into than my children. Than raising and training and teaching my children. I've never ever in my entire existence of my whole life put more of myself, more energy, more time, more money, more any resources into anything I've ever done in all my existence since I was born, that I have done since the birth of my daughter, and more specifically, since the abandonment of my son and my daughter by their donor. Now, I want to back up for a second. Let's go back up to number 8 at the speech therapy. He was told to take the speech therapy and he did not. Yes, I did. I took them to speech therapy, both of them. They both had evaluations, both of them. Period, flat out, end of story. The fact is that when a child is abandoned by a parent, they shut down. And their needing of speech therapy existed partially because you left them and they shut down. They didn't want to talk because you hurt them. Okay? And then besides that, there's something else that's important, because if a man speaks 6,000 words a day and a woman speaks 24,000 words a day, then together the children will hear 30,000 words a day. But since you left them almost 3.5 years ago, it's only been the 6,000 words a day guy. They've been missing 24,000 words a day for 3.5 years. How many days is that? It's over 1,000 days of missing 24,000 words per 24-hour period day. No wonder why that their speech is lagging a little bit. But the biggest, most important thing about my son, in his speech, is that he had a tumor on his head. It was a physical tumor that I took him to surgery that you have no information or knowledge of. And when I took him to surgery and they cut the tumor out of his head, he woke up from the surgery and said, "Daddy, doctor fixing my ears." And he could hear. For the first time in his life, he could finally hear properly. And this is why, 1 second, bud, okay? Just give me just a minute, alright? This is why that he speaks better now. This is why he can say okay and alright. So he hears properly, he speaks properly, and whatever minimal thing was left is a result of the abandonment, the undesire to speak, the lack of 24,000 words in a 24-hour day period times 999 plus days, and most importantly, that tumor being cut out of his head relieved a pressure on the back of his brain. That when the pressure was relieved, he woke up from his surgery and said, "Daddy, doctor fixing my ears." He can hear now. It's called SPD and APD. He had audio processing disorder because he couldn't hear from the tumor that was in his head I had cut out. And he had sensory processing disorder. In the sense of that, he couldn't understand what others were saying to him. And that's why when he would talk, people couldn't understand what he was saying to them either. I understand him. He understands me. We understand each other. We have an understanding. He can speak better. He can hear better. Things are better. You just wouldn't know. I'm sorry to once inform you once again that you're ill-informed, and especially to your attorney. The attorney has been ill-informed as well. If anybody would have asked me any of these questions, I would have shown them the documented paperwork. Literally, I have documented paperwork of the truth. So basically what I'm saying is this. Before I would ever get a chance to speak, Ohio law would force a forced visitation on my children. My children would be controlled to be dropped off at a location, to be introduced to this stranger by a stranger that they was ripped from daddy from, and then explained, this is MOMMY. They're going to be like, no, it's not. So her whole attempt is to come here to file this, to manipulate the courts, to give her visitation, to then dismiss the case and leave. Because after she's introduced as NOMMY, then she's identified to them that she exists, and then she leaves. And I'm stuck with the mess to clean up. You can force me to take my children, to force this controlled visitation. Who's the controlling person? Not me. You can force me to take my children for her to see them, but you can't force her to stay. You can't force her to be a mother. She doesn't know how to be a mother. She's an unfit mother. She's never been a mother. It's highly egregious and highly prejudicial to force me, to force my children to be introduced to this stranger by a stranger, only for her to leave again. You cannot force her to stay. I've never been able to force anybody to stay. That's what I'm saying. I'm being forced to court. They're going to be forced to visitation. And before I ever have a chance to show a shred of evidence, the damage will already be done, and she'll be 6 hours south again. I'll be stuck cleaning up the mess. Nobody's going to come here and service me or my children. Nobody's going to come here and clean up the mess that's created by you manipulating the courts. By you, I mean you. HAS has. You has forged this affidavit. This is purged. So let's continue on. The plaintiff has applied 2 layers of plastic to all the windows of the home and fireplace to prevent red iron or oxide dust from entering from the plant that's going to hit earth from entering the home. How about bats? How about birds? How about bugs, beetles, insects, mold, mildew, cold, heat, moisture? How about that? How about the real reason why I put it on there? For any attorney to file paperwork like this with no evidence, no proof, no documentation, no files, no links, no nothing, is highly irresponsible. And if you can just say that you didn't know, I'm going to let that go by not providing the proof that you did at this point. You know now. You know. You know this is a purged affidavit to further represent your client. It's not morally correct. It doesn't upstand your oath that you took. It doesn't uphold your oath that you took to represent clients and be an attorney and to look out for the best interest of the children. It doesn't. At this point, you would have to drop yourself off of the client's case or dismiss the entire case with prejudice to begin with, which is what needs to be done in all fairness. If you want to be fair and look for the best interest of the children, if you want to protect any children, protect them from the unfit mother that's never been a mother, that doesn't know how to be a mother because her mother never taught her, and I have it documented. I'll show you. I don't have any problem doing that for you. Although this is concerning for many reasons, from a physical health standpoint, the home in which the plaintiff and the children resides does not have central air and is stifling over the summer. Well, that's another thing. You know, the difference, so I weigh 135 pounds. I really could imagine that if I weighed 351 pounds, the amount of sweat from my body would be a lot different. If I let myself become actually morbidly obese at 351 pounds, yes, that 351 pound morbidly obese person would sweat more than my 135 pound self. My daughter weighs 54 pounds. My son weighs 45 pounds. Okay? So I'm not even 3 times her weight or 3 times, roughly 3 times his weight. So I'm just saying. That would literally make Heather Ann Seabolt 6 times the weight of my son. You would have to times his weight 6 times to come up with the weight of Heather Ann Seabolt. And just the same, you would have to times my daughter's weight more than 6 times. Her weight at 54 pounds, you'd have to more than 6 times her weight to come up with Heather Ann Seabolt's 351-pound weight. I mean, at my 135 pounds would almost have to be tripled to come up with Heather Ann Seabolt's morbidly obese weight. Don't come talk to me about central air conditioning as if it is a national requirement to house children. It's not. But you could probably sweat a lot less if you wanted to. If I'm 3 times his weight and you're, you could do the math. You know what I'm saying? And I don't even like to even talk about this stuff. I don't put people down. I don't call people names. I don't do these things. What I'm just saying is I don't even talk about this stuff. I'm forced. You are controlling me to do this right now. It's your attempt to force yourself back into my life and to control me by manipulating the courts to control me. That's dangerous, and it's illegal. And you perjured yourself on this affidavit to do it. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. And your attorney filed it twice. This is my first time of ever showing anybody any of this actual evidence. Other than I did publish the pictures. The video is public on YouTube a year ago. There's been views. There's been people that's publicly seen, even up to 2 years ago. And like I said, in a matter of a month or 2, or even maybe 2 or 3, these videos are going to change to 2 years old and 3 years old. That they've been published public before. One of them has like 96 views. The other one is like 21 and a couple dozen or something. But I'm just saying, anybody could ask me anytime. I would show them. Literally. You want to come and see? And that's the other thing. The school. You can look at the school records of when I took her stuff and signed her up for school over a year ago. The school has all the information of her records, of custody, of how long I've had custody, of that there is no MOM, and all of her vaccinations. School knows that her vaccinations was done a year before, and when that happened, I got honors vaccinations then. His vaccinations was done a year before his as well. Is when I turned in hers, it was done a year ago. I went and got his done for the year after, which is now this year. So his also was done a year in advance of when he needed them. Both of them. And I didn't do it because anybody told me to. And nobody got involved with my family and made me do anything. There's no record of that because it didn't happen. Now, to continue on. Also, don't you think that's just a little wrong? One could say unethical, but seriously, as an attorney, don't you find it unethical of any other attorney that would include in this paperwork that CPS was involved in my life when you cannot include any record from that entity, CPS, that it actually happened? You cannot go to CPS and collect any record from CPS showing that CPS was ever involved in my life. So if you can't go to the entity, CPS, and collect a record, then it surely is unethical to include it in a report as the truth when you can't even collect the record that it happened. Is that what a regular, upstanding attorney who actually protects innocent children does? Or was that what a highly egregious attorney does to help her client get what her client wants, which is not in the best interest of the children? That's right. plaintiff has told the children their mother is dead. This one kills me. The children are not aware that I am their mother. Now, furthermore, just the same. If I told my children that their mother was dead, wouldn't that cause them pain? Yes. If I told my children that their mother was dead, wouldn't that cause them sadness and sorrow? Yes. If I told my children, again, my children, that their mother was dead, wouldn't that cause them mental health problems and, like I said, depression problems and other problems that goes along with mental health and depression? Wouldn't that cause them problems? Well, then clearly you can see why I've never said that, because I've healed them and healed them and healed them, and that would just destroy them. So why would I tell them anything that would be destructive to their minds and heart when all I've done is heal their hearts and minds? That doesn't even make any sense. Besides, do you have any evidence? Oh, that's right, you don't. But you filed it anyways, didn't you, Attorney Reed? Yeah, you did. This one kills me because A, the attorney filed this paperwork and does not know that it's true. That is egregious and prejudice. You're prejudging me, which is prejudice, and I find that highly egregious, highly, highly, highly egregious. What could be more shocking than you filing this as an attorney to a judge to read, instructing the judge that I tell my children that their mother is dead, when you have no shred of evidence of that? You have no proof because it's not the truth. This case needs dismissed with prejudice. Furthermore, like I keep saying, or like I've said at least once, if not twice, in all of these 51 videos before I just did these number, and I have more numbers to go till I reach a final number, secretly, in the back of my mind, I've still been kind of somewhat hoping and waiting, and maybe at some time in this nearly 42-year-old woman's life, that she just might get it together, that she just might just get her life together, that she just might someday, hopefully, get herself together. Why would I tell them that she's dead when really I've been hoping just for the day that she gets herself and her life together? Doesn't make any sense, does it? It doesn't. It doesn't make any sense at all. And so it's just the same. They don't know who she is. They don't know she exists. They don't remember when she was here. Not as girl or as mommy. They don't remember before 2 and 3, and they were 2 and 3 when she left as mommy. And when they were 3 and 4 and they were here as girl, she wasn't here as mommy, she was here as girl, even though they don't remember that anymore because it has been 3 years since then, 3, 4 years since then. So what I'm saying is, it's very simple. Really, it's so simple. How could I tell them that mommy is dead when there is no mommy? How can I tell them that their mother is dead when there is no mother? How could I tell them your mom died when there's no mom to die? Think about it. Seriously, just take a half of a second one time and just think about it once. Not even possible. It's really not even possible. Can't even believe this. The children are not aware that I am their mother. Yes, they are unaware that you are their mother, and you are aware of that because you came here as girl October 10th and left as girl December 18th, and that was in 2018. So, anyways, I'm going to stop this now and restart another one. Okay, so we're on number 7. I'm getting ready to stop the video in my hand here, and so I can stop the other one and restart it.